From being just one more thing that needs to be done to becoming a crucial part of board meetings, the importance of security in the digital space cannot be overstated. And today, in this podcast series, in association with Cisco, we are going to be talking about the challenges that organizations face when it comes to cybersecurity and what are they doing? And more importantly, are they doing enough? Join us in this discussion. I have with me Anubhav Wahie, who is the leader of Cybersecurity Solutions Mid-Tier Territory, India, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives here at Cisco. Now, Anubhav brings with him over 19 years of experience in the business development and customer advocacy space across telecom and IT verticals. He's a certified practitioner at the Open Group Architecture Framework for Enterprise Architecture. And in his decade-long tenure at Cisco, he has held positions in the customer experience function, consultancy, and cybersecurity solutions. And beyond that, he is also a passionate aviator. Anubhav, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Ashwin.
Now, what is the number one issue that organizations face today when it comes to cybersecurity? And what is being done in this space?
Well, according to me, there are two issues that most organizations face today from a cybersecurity perspective. Number one is the problem of cybersecurity fatigue. Let me elaborate that a little bit for you. And I'll give you some data points. There was a survey done by Cisco with about 2,000 plus CISOs across the region. And I'm talking about the APAC region specifically, which spoke about the specific challenges these CISOs face. And cybersecurity came out as one of the key challenges that these organizations were facing. Now, one of the areas that most of these organizations struggle with is the number of alerts the security analyst has to go through day in and day out, or they can keep a watch on what's relevant and what's meaningful. A few data points. Of the total number of legitimate alerts they're able to reach to, which goes into a couple of thousands, only about 49% of those alerts get remediated. Now that itself is a problem. So you could have the wherewithal of many credible products in your organization doing a fabulous job for you. They could be best of breed. But if you're not able to find that one single threat which could bring your organization down, you're in for trouble. And this trouble comes in from having too much of information that the people in the security space can't keep pace with. That's problem number one. Problem number two is consuming credible intelligence. Now, what do I mean by that? You'd agree that any effective security solution in today's time and space requires intelligence. Where do you source your intelligence from? That defines a decision making can be from a cybersecurity perspective. So I would say these are the two major challenges most organizations face today.
I want to pick your brains on this phrase that you just used right now, Anubhav, when you said credible security intelligence. And you're right, we do have a huge influx of information and we really have a problem with prioritizing as to what is the kind of information that we must action. So when you talk about credible security intelligence, I assume that you're talking about information that can be actioned upon. How do you filter and come to this kind of information?
Okay, so first let's level set on where do these security practitioners or security analysts source their intelligence from. Gone are the days where you would only rely on one source of information from a threat intelligence perspective. It could be from various sources. It could be from a CERT organization. It could be from the OEMs who are providing technology solutions to you, and there could be many. Problem here is, and I've coined a simple word to classify the four pillars to credible fact, F-A-C-T. Intelligence has to be factual, it has to be accurate, it has to be contextual, and last but not the least, it has to be timely. Why? For an attack coming into the organization, and we're not talking about scenarios where you've built a very strong perimeter, a fortress, and nobody can come in. That's probably fiction. Attacks will come in, and probably they're already in. If you are able to get this intelligence in a timely manner, and it's relevant and contextual to your environment, you are able to ensure that you can increase the time the hacker takes to attack your organization. Now, if you're able to increase the time it takes for them to hack, you're also able to improve or reduce your time to detect the attack and remediate it. Now, that's what I mean by credible, consumable threat intelligence. And the point I'm trying to make here is this intelligence is going to be from multiple sources. How are you going to keep pace with it?
Fascinating, Anubhav. Now, talking about the challenges of cybersecurity fatigue and credible intelligence, how has this known to impact the security operations as such, which effectively drags down an organization's responsiveness and its ability to counter the kind of threats that are coming in?
Okay, so let me answer this by converging what we spoke of when we started this conversation. If you recall, we said there are two problems that organizations face. Cybersecurity fatigue, which is analysts, security researchers, or SOC teams struggling to keep pace with the number of logs that they have to look at day in and day out. Number two, multiple sources of intelligence. How does this impact a day in the life of a security analyst sitting in a SOC? Think about the scenario. The CIO or maybe the CEO of the organization goes to Google. He reads about the latest and the greatest attack in the industry, and he goes back and asks the security team, guys, are we impacted? Now what happens? This person who's sitting in the SOC, who's basically responsible for bringing in the technology excellence and going back and telling the CEO that we are covered or not, has to go back and start sourcing multiple sources of intelligence to see, is there any relevance or any observable related to that intelligence seen in my environment today? Now, where does he go back and check? He goes back and starts checking the various technology solutions that they have in their organization by one, and starts figuring out if there is any correlation or any relevance to the intelligence that he's been able to procure or source with an observable in the network. It's easier said than done. Imagine if you've got a heterogeneous system within your organization protecting you. Imagine the number of hours and possibly get this information out. That's where I'm trying to tie down the problem of cybersecurity fatigue with applying consumable intelligence to be more effective. It's extremely complicated. Now, what I'm trying to allude to is a scenario where you had the ability to source intelligence from anywhere in the world and throw it into a dashboard, click and research if this intelligence is relevant to my environment or not, and you get a result which says, yes, it is. I have observables in the network which tell me that we are impacted with this kind of an attack, and with a click of a button, I can go and remediate it across my technology architecture.
It sounds complex, and it can be a productivity nightmare if you don't know where to look and if you don't know what you're looking for. But how is Cisco working to alleviate the challenges that a security practitioner will face if he's asked to pull out a threat and it's basically information overload, he has a crunch of time, he doesn't know where to find facts? So what is Cisco doing in this space?
Well, if it was complex, it would become the next new problem that CISOs are going to face. Because if security is getting more complex, then we are actually moving away from making it more effective. It's not as complex as it sounds. At Cisco, we've got a capability called the Cisco Threat Response, which comes packaged as a part of a solution, wherein a dashboard is provided to our customers to consume threat intelligence from anywhere in the world, from any vendor, from any OEM, from any cert organization. You throw it into the dashboard, any form, any format, and it would go back and query the Cisco solutions within your environment, come back and tell you if observables related to this threat intelligence were seen in your network or not. And if they were, you could start creating a topological map and see how it transfers through the network for you. And if you want to make a decision on remediating the threat, it can be done right there from that particular dashboard. That's how simple it is. Now, another beautiful thing that comes along with this is a likelihood that there's a party A who's provided you the threat intelligence which classifies a particular file as malicious. And your Cisco solution is still investigating to figure out if it's malicious or not. You could override, basis this threat intelligence to ensure that this file is blocked in your network while the Cisco solution continues to investigate and get you a disposition to this file. So it's as simple as that. Get a Cisco threat response capability in, consume threat intelligence from anywhere in the world, and see if you are impacted or not. And if you are impacted, remediate with a click of a button. Does this sound simple now?
Fascinating and logical. Thank you so much for your time, Anubhav Wahie, leader of the cybersecurity solutions for the mid-tier territories of India, Sri Lanka, and Maldives. But are you doing this any differently? We'd love to know. Leave us a comment below telling us how you are approaching security and how you're working through the same challenges that Anubhav outlined, and we'd love to hear from you. Till our next podcast, thank you for listening in.